You know, one of the best parts of being in a warm, climate-controlled environment like inside this Yeti is rigging. It's a real pleasure to be able to do it in here. And one of the most important parts of rigging that I have found that so many people ignore is just strapping on a reel to a rod. It's a simple process, happens all the time, but I learned a way that helps whether you're doing it on different kinds of blanks, whether it's this kind of one on the St. Croix Avid glass rod, or whether it's on a cork handled rod, to be able to put that reel on there, not leave any mar on the finish, and preserve that rod no matter what you want to do with it in the future, because so many people swap reels between rods. So I'm going to show you a great way to do it. It's going to be clean, it's going to be crisp, and it's going to maintain the maximum amount of lightweightedness throughout the rod and reel combination. So the first part of the process involves just getting your tape laid out and ready so you can put things together once that is. And I start with some masking tape, and I just take off 2 strips, set it on the edge of the table, so when it's time to be able to put that on, I'm good to go. Then I go to my electrical tape. Now for the electrical, you're going to need 4 strips. Keep them about the same length. I actually like to cut it, because when you cut it, you get nice clean edges rather than the kind of bunched up, torn off ends. So I'll get 4 of these ready to go. About yay long, a couple inches. Now it's important to remember that this works really well for all different kinds of rods, and especially if you are using cork grips, when you do switch reels, you're not going to leave any kind of mar or tape residue behind. That's really the purpose behind it. So I think long and hard for step 2 about how I'm going to put this on. Not just what part and lining it up correctly, but I think about how I'm going to grip the rod itself. Am I a pistol gripper? Do I like to hold it this way? Do I like to split my grip, and if so, between which fingers? Now for me, I like riding a single finger up on the blank, and I split my grip just like this. So for that, I want the reel actually more forward. For rods that are a little bit longer and you're worried about balance, go ahead and slide that reel forward and backward on the blank and try and feel how it balances the setup, how it feels in your hands. This is a really critical step, this second step. So like I said, I like putting a finger up on the blank to feel. I line things up, I kind of get an idea, a mark of where I'm going to want that reel seat to end up. And once I do, I pull it away and kind of mark it with my finger. Well, the top of my thumb is where I want the top of the reel to go. So I lay down this layer of masking tape. Then again, I measure up the reel, and I want it to be covered just on the end there. So again, I use my thumb to kind of mark where I want the bottom part of the masking tape to go. Transfer here, put that on. Nice even layer wound up. And this is the first step of the process. Once you've got this ready, these are your marks that you're going to live by. Now that you've got your base layer of masking tape down, it's time to actually put the reel onto the rod. So with that, you want to be able to set it up so your masking tape is set back here and your electrical tape covers up the ends of the reel seat. So I'd want it right in there. But the part that people kind of get messed up on is not just where to put it there, but also how to twist the rod and make sure that everything is perfectly aligned. So what I try to do is try to eye it up just down the blank, just like you'd look down an arrow or like you'd look down a rifle sights. And that gives you the best precision to make sure that this bottom stripper guide is directly facing the front of the spinning reel itself. So now that everything is lined up, the reel forwards and backwards, and the rod is twisted left, right perfectly, squeeze extra tight to make sure you don't lose that portion. And I literally just try and hold it as tight as I can, double check, make sure you're good to go, grab a piece of tape, and lock down the first part. So you get that first piece of tape on, and that really sets up the rest of the show. So make sure after you cover the reel seat, you pull nice and tight. Electrical tape is meant to have a little bit of stretch to it, and it's your job to take that stretch out. If you do not pull tight enough, what ends up happening, especially with predator fish, bigger reels, bigger lures, everything starts to work its way loose. So it really is in your best interest to make sure that you pull tight and lock it down. After I have things set where I want them, then I go to the bottom and I lock in that bottom piece, doing the exact same thing. Now you've got a little more latitude to move things around, and again, really pull down, take the stretch out of that tape, and make sure to lay it down exactly over the masking tape. So at this point, you've got 2 pieces of tape on, and for a lot of rods, like panfish probably, as long as you did a good tape job on the first 2 pieces, you're probably good. But I really like to lock it down tight with that second piece of tape on each part of the reel seat. So your job now is twofold. Make sure to take the stretch out of the tape, but also any bits of open masking tape, you can take this opportunity to cover these up so you'll never even know that's underneath. Again, really tightly place it down, take the stretch out, cover the reel seat as needed, and finish off each one of your wraps. Now, the only time this stuff comes loose is typically when people on the install don't press it down tight enough, it's unclean. Really do a good job to try and make each one of your tape marks overlap only where necessary and needed. So here we go. I'm going to finish up the last little bit, cover up the last part of the masking tape. And there you have it, a very clean taped on reel using the minimum amount of tape possible. It's locked on extra tight, and probably best of all, once you peel all this back and you start swapping reels in and out, you want to get rid of the rod, you're not going to have any bit of that mar or tape residue left on it. So you're good to go. It keeps it clean, it keeps it sharp looking, and it's been the way that I've taped reels on now for probably going on almost 15 years.